We will allow me to call to order our executive committee meeting for May 1st, 2017. Now's the time where we take public comment. Do we have any public comment? Solly, any public comment? Okay, hearing no. We will move ahead to our action items and a review of our meeting minutes from March 6, 2017.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Johnson.
just a comment on your other business. It says, I mentioned a couple items you'd like to discuss in the future. I don't remember what those were.
You know, it's funny, I caught the same thing too.
We'll listen to the recording.
What?
We'll listen to the recording.
Okay, thank you.
Move approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. And our second action item, 3B, is taking a look at our vision and mission statements. Brad, you want to? Hi. Hey.
Yeah.
Hi.
I do. It's loading on.
We're on 3B,
Yeah.
sorry, vision and mission statements. We just passed the minutes.
Here we go. So, good morning.
Good morning.
In your packet, or in your Granicus, we've listed the current, very lengthy PSTA mission statement, which was adopted by PSTA back in 2009, and the vision statement. The mission statement adopted in 2009 was PSTA provides safe, convenient, accessible, affordable public transportation services for Pinellas County residents and visitors, and supports economic vitality, thriving communities, and enhanced quality of life. And then we talked about that at our PSTA workshop in January. And then staff, this executive committee talked about it in February, and then staff reviewed it more in the context of our project that we're working on, a business scorecard with Mark Ash's group, TransPro, and have coalesced around a much shorter mission statement, which is we connect people to their life activities. That's the mission of PSTA, is we connect people to their life activities. And then,
What? I don't remember. I don't think I was a part of that discussion.
I don't think I was a part of that.
Discussion.
When was that discussion, may I ask?
January 13th at the workshop, Mark Ash presented, we had a pretty lengthy discussion at the Epicenter.
No, the revised recommendation. I remember what was discussed at the workshop.
The revised, that's the
Staff and TransPro, based on the feedback from the workshop, which there wasn't really a decision made. It was sort of a discussion. To go to this, we connect people to life activities. And then if you look at the next page down, there's some other options that the board discussed on January 13th. Most of them have that we connect as the component. And then you can see the vision. The vision is more aspirational, to be the people's first choice for transportation. To replace quick, affordable transportation from where you are to where you want to go.
Well, I'll lead off the discussion if I may. The second box, which is the January 13th PSTA workshop, I really like the proposed mission. I know over the last year or two, it seems like we've gone from succinct mission statements to longer ones, but I mean, typically I think mission statements are supposed to be brief. And PSTA is, if not anything, I mean, this really captures the essence of what we do is quick, affordable transportation. However, I do like the vision statement of the third box, which looks like the revised recommendation for staff review and PSTA executive committee. I kind of like that fleshed out vision a little bit more than I like the January 13th one. In fact, the proposed vision in the second box, the proposed vision, it doesn't even mention transportation.
Right.
I mean, performance and innovation for what? And I feel like it's okay if we can get a little bit wordier with the vision statement, but the mission statement should probably stay brief. So those are my thoughts. Anyone else? Commissioner Jones?
I think back at the workshop on the 13th, I had questioned quick, because a bus or public transit it's not going to be quick. It may be more convenient because you don't have the cart, you don't have to deal with all the cars, that kind of thing. But that was a concern I had with quick. Affordable was okay.
Maybe convenient is more
Yeah.
appropriate.
But
Would you be happy with convenient?
I kind of like the new one, connect people with their life activities, but because that's what we're doing. I do like the vision of the staff recommendation, as the chairman had said. One key thing that we do, and maybe this should be in the mission, is economic development. We are part of maintaining economic viability in this area, because people have to get to work, they have to get to their daily activities in order for us to function. And this came primarily out of the economic development center that presented last 2 weeks ago.
So maybe we could, instead of economic strength in the community, you could just say, and economic development through innovation and partnership. You take out strength in the community and just put development in there. Wouldn't that fix that?
Mhm. Okay, that's good.
Would we leave through innovation and partnership at the end?
Yeah, through innovation and partnership. Just to insert the word development to take out strength in the community.
Right.
Yeah, I'll get the revised mission.
Which one do you like?
For which, did we decide on the mission statement?
The only reason I'm not crazy about we connect people to their life activities, again, is just, it doesn't mention transportation or buses.
Mhm.
And something about the phrase life activities just sounds, it's, I don't know, just,
How about if we say we connect people with their life activities with quick, affordable transportation? Take the one from the top, put it down on the second one. Doesn't have to be ultra short, correct?
I guess that was the guidance that we received.
Or-
The mission statement's really pretty short.
Okay.
Or
It's
we
got to
could-
say what we do, though. What we're all trying to get at
Place
is it needs
connect
to say what we
with,
do.
yeah.
Can we transport people to their
Okay. I mean, I think there was some discussion at the workshop about the word connect, that we're moving toward a more mobility management sort of function at PSTA than a bus company.
got it.
Yeah.
I,
But we
We're
still, we still do quick, affordable transportation, it's just that's not. Explain that.
I mean, we're not an internet
explanatory
service
enough.
provider, but we transport. Okay. I'm okay with anything.
we affordably connect people to places.
Would you want to substitute the word get for connect? We get people to their life activities?
I kind of like connect.
Yeah, we get people to their activities.
There were some other suggestions. I kind of like the alliteration of we connect the community or we connect people to places. It just seems to have a nicer ring to it than we connect people to their life activities.
Yeah.
So do we want to take out, or, well, these are just suggestions, but they use economic strength in the communities and that recommended vision, and we changed that to development, economic development. Took out strength in the community, remember?
Oh. But now you're trying to put that up into the mission?
No, I'm just making a point.
Like vitality better?
Yeah, I like vitality too.
Instead of development.
What do you think about connecting people to places?
I like it. And it implies transportation because it's clear, it's more clear that we're connecting people physically to another location than, you know, whatever it is that a life activity is. Right.
I go with we connect people to places.
Okay. That's 3. How do you like a mission of we connect people to places?
That's fine.
All right, would you make a motion?
This is going to
I'll
the
move
board?
that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll second that. Is the board still going to look at it?
The board will still
Opinions anyway.
take a look at it, but they'll have our recommendation.
Yeah.
They'll all want to weigh in and wordsmith as well.
Right.
This is true. Nothing fun like a wordsmithing session.
You're right.
We've talked about our mission statement for so long. Are we, I guess this is just a philosophical thing, but are we going to change it every year?
No. At least that's certainly not the goal. Again, this was approved back in 2009. So this one's,
Well, this came out of the workshop process, so there's a legitimate,
and the reason we're
Flow.
doing this, the reason we're even tackling this at all is not just to change it. It is tied to this new business scorecard initiative, which the idea, of course, is the whole business scorecard process. There's going to be a new scorecard for the entire PSTA organization on different metrics, and then that is going to flow down to my performance evaluation that the board does for me, and then that down to the different departments have their own metrics, and then to the individual employees, and then it all has to be grounded in something. And the thing that all flows up to is the mission statement of the organization. That everything that we do from the bottom up is tied to either moving us closer to our vision and in compliance with the mission statement. Without a mission statement, it's a little bit, flying in the dark. but you know, the individual words don't really, I don't think, have a major impact.
Okay. Well, there's a motion for the recommended mission to be we connect people to places.
To-
And
I know I agreed to that. Then a slight modification, we connect people to their life places. Does that do anything for anybody?
doesn't do
No.
anything for me.
What was it again?
No.
To their
Places are
life
kind of like
places.
stages,
Yeah, like the hospital.
infants.
Yeah,
I'm sure I
like the,
know
like the
them.
5 keys you said.
All right,
Yeah, like stages of grief.
Yeah.
good. All right, I'll go with the,
Okay.
I just
So-
wanted to test that one.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Great. And then for the vision, Rachel, did you capture it? Could you restate what the course of?
To be the people's first choice for transportation and a driving force for social, environmental, and economic development in the community through innovation and partnership.
I think it was,
Did you
Sorry.
want to change development to vitality?
yes.
Okay, well, I think we wanted to change development to vitality.
Oh,
And economic vitality in the community through innovation and partnership.
Sure.
Okay.
And can you, are
That
you
was
good
your
with
word.
that? Okay.
All right.
Could you make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll
Yeah.
second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Okay, thank you. Our next item is our informational item on the new PSTA website. So Melissa,
Alyssa,
pass
take
it
it away.
We were up there, we made you sit down. We were having so much conversation.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Alyssa Kostick. I am the digital marketing manager. So this is our current website, and I'm going to walk you through a little bit of what we got going on here. So, yeah, a lot.
Awfully busy.
Yes, very busy. And so this website, from what Cindy tells me, hasn't gone through a redesign in over 10 years. And so while this was probably really top of the line 10 years ago, it's a little outdated right now. And one of the things that we showcase on this is our events, which is growing and growing right now. And especially like this past weekend, we had the Beach Goes Pops, and we're doing more and more in that in the community. And we are showcasing a lot of like the connecting to Wi-Fi and the quick links on the side. Now, moving forward, we went through and looked at our statistics. And we wanted to do a very statistical approach when it came to deciding how we were going to move forward with FKQ and designing the new website. And we looked at our Google Analytics, and we saw, it's actually really neat, and actually kind of scary, that through tracking on our website, we can see how people are coming to our website, we can see what they're accessing our website on. It's a very detailed approach. And we saw that 76% of the people that were accessing our website were accessing it via a mobile device. So this would include either a phone or a tablet. So this does not include laptops. The laptops are included in the desktop. So when we worked with FKQ, we decided that this new website had to be a mobile design first website. It needed to be very clean, and we went through and we also looked at what were the top 3 things that people were looking at when they went to our website. So this is what you see right now when you go to our website. It is a lot of information, and it's a lot to take in, It's not very clean to the eye, and it's a lot. So I'm going to show you. Right now we're in a testing phase with FKQ, but this is what we have right now. And I'm going to stand back here so I can kind of walk you through. So at the top, you will see the top 3 things that people are looking at. They want to see their schedules, their fares, and where's my bus. So they're doing the trip planner. When it comes to schedules, a lot of people know either they had on their phones what schedule they were looking for, or they were searching for specific ones. So they were putting in, FKQ was able to go in and put the top ones into the top of the search bar, which was actually kind of cool. So the Jolly Trolley service was one of the top ones that people were looking at recently, which I thought was pretty interesting. Tickets and fares, one of the neatest things when you're navigating on this website, and I've had this discussion with Brad, anytime you navigate away from a page, the schedules and the ticket fares and the where's my bus will always remain at the top. So anytime a rider goes from a different page, they will always be able to easily navigate to where's my schedule or ticket fares, because that is the top 3 things that they're always looking for. And because this is a mobile design first site, what you're seeing on the screen right now, if you were to pull that up on your tablet, that is the exact same thing you will see, just decreased onto your screen.
One of the things, maybe it's just my old eyeballs, but if you're on a mobile device, that printing is awfully small. And it would be hard for somebody maybe in a sunlight situation or something like that to be able to see that. I know you're working within the confines of a specific number of pixels and all that, but larger printing, like where's my bus or schedules and map and so on, would be maybe hard to see on a device. Can I pull that up right now and look at this, or is this not live yet?
Yeah, you can pull that up if you type in PSTA stage.faq.com. It will come up on your phone. Now, just so you know, not everything is perfect, and we're still going through some changes with FKQ. If you see anything that you think needs to be changed, I would love the recommendation right now while we're not live. You should be able to make...
Okay, PSTA, PSTA.net, the old one's still coming up. What's the
PSTA.stage.
that stage?
That's-
FKQ.
I got it.
Okay. Thanks.
You have a really small screen. You got like mine.
Yeah.
It's, the interface is.
Doesn't fit in my pocket.
There you go.
Thanks.
PSTA stage dot what?
FKQ.
FAQ?
FKQ.
K.
Oh.
Okay, actually, it shows up better on here than on there.
Yeah, it does.
Because this was a mobile first design. And it's really interesting is we were talking in the office that we were wondering with all the desktop users how many of those people were actually PSTA employees, because we all have that pulled up on our computers every day at work.
Okay.
So
Alright.
when you go to this menu on the top here, because all the statistics showed that most of the information was geared towards our riders. This website was all geared towards what our riders were looking for on this website. So this was very much all about what our riders are looking for at the top of this screen. So you'll find all of the information about what you need to know about riding PSTA, our onboard amenities, our programs, and our real time. Now, if you scroll to the bottom, you'll find all of our business information. And that is where you will find our information about our board members, our committees, and our meetings, and so on, our careers. This stuff you will always find on every page at the bottom.
Yikes. Better get a new picture.
It's alphabetical.
Well, and this is also something that we'll be reaching out to you guys to recruit for, because this website looks so new and modern. We would love to reach out, because we also have Erin, who's an awesome photographer. If we would be able to reach out to all the board members and get new and updated, awesome new pictures and headshots to add to the website. But this website is going to be fully mobile compatible, which is going to be great for our riders. And then everything is going to be geared towards them on the top, and then all of the business stuff that you will need will be all on the bottom. All of your plans and reports you will find at the bottom, public records requests on the bottom. But everything geared towards them will be on the top. Every time you navigate to a different page, everything will stay the same across the top. Does anybody have any questions?
Maybe just tell them a little bit about how, so the functionality of the website as far as like uploading the reports and board packets and stuff like that. It's going to be better.
Okay. So, let me see if they have any of the reports here. Okay, so when you navigate to the plans and reports page, this is what you'll see.
But if you go back to the meetings, committees or meetings, that's where the next step is.
Yeah, we're right at the bottom of the page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've tried it.
So if you go to plans and reports, we'll go to planning documents. Wait. What kind of like reports are you talking about, Brad?
What?
Well,
Oh,
what I
committee,
was going to
like-
say is
The content.
sort of a feature of this new website that is not necessarily obvious visually, but it's designed in a way that I think we can really add a lot more plans and reports, updated plans and reports easily. Right now, the current website is all managed by one person.
Yes.
They're not here. I mean, Rachel interacts with them for all the board packet information and the committee meetings and et cetera. So this new website has the ability for Rachel to directly upload things to the website. The planning department can upload the latest TMA report or anything, directly there.
Yes. So this last week, we, myself and two of the graphics coordinators went to FAQ, and we had some back-end training on the website, and it's probably one of the simplest things that we've ever worked with. And we will be training one person along in every department, which will alleviate some of the pressure on our department, because right now it's all controlled within marketing. And this will allow each department to control the content that they upload to the website, which will be a lot easier for us in that sense. You don't see any meetings right now because they're still working on this.
Where is there an easy place to link to the Flamingo Fairs app and the Direct Connect?
Yeah, so if you go back to the main page, this hero right here, it should be scrolling.
Oh, I see Flamingo up in the corner now.
Yeah, it's supposed to scroll, but if it didn't, it scrolls, and then if you click on Get the App, it takes you right to the Flamingo page. And then Direct Connect has its own page, right on writing PSTA.
That's
It takes you right to the
easy.
Direct Connect.
Yeah, none of that's visible here yet on the phones, but unless I
Are you
have-
under tickets?
So on that,
Or-
on the main page where you saw those two sliders that she just called a hero, can you go back to the main page? If you think about the way our current website is, there's always banners up there where we're highlighting what's happening right now. We're gonna use this space in that same way.
Yeah.
So it'll be more than just these two. We'll be able to have a direct connect. And that's
So
what
the
we're
Direct
pushing.
Connect would be like sliding through there.
I don't. I'm not
Oh, you know
back
what?
to
It's, the reason I'm missing it is I don't quite see Flamingo.
Oh, it's up there, right?
It took me a while to realize that was when you, what is it called? Sheriff?
A hero.
Hero.
Yeah, I see. I don't even see
It takes me a second to even realize that's Flamingo, because I don't see the tip of, it's great because the Flamingo Fair is branded so well, and then when we go to the next page, you don't really see the Flamingo brand very well.
Oh, so the kind of like highlight that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't show up at all.
It's not on the
It
front
does.
page.
No, it does not.
Title.
You have to swipe it. You have to swipe it over and then you can get it. But those two little dots, welcome to Flamingo, is not.
That's gonna be on a timer, right?
I know.
So that's gonna be automatic once the site.
Yeah, it's automatic.
So you don't have to find it, it will just do it on its own.
I don't have it on my screen either.
Yeah, it's not showing here. But
It should be also an item in the fairs category, and it's not.
Yeah, that's where I looked for it, was under fairs, and
Well, that makes too much sense. That's why it's up there.
Yeah.
And Brad, how long will it be before we're able to, oh, you can purchase things online here?
Yeah,
The tickets?
you can do that now.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah, so,
Brad, Melissa, what kind of feedback would you like from us, or what are the next steps? This goes live next week? Okay, this week.
I'm sorry, when does it go live?
Next week.
Next week. Do you want to talk anything about that?
Everybody's been invited. We're gonna have a launch downstairs. I would love for everybody to come. I realized we had a meeting this morning. It's going to be after the NPO meeting. I know that's could be a bit of a conflict, but
When next week is the meeting?
the 10th, 4 o'clock.
Wednesday.
I'm gonna send another invite out again this afternoon.
What are you calling it?
I think it was
Website launch.
PSTA website launch. I sent an email out with the invite last week, and I'm going to send another one out today.
Okay.
Website launch.
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Oh, no, it's cocktail time.
We talked about that this morning.
some of these things, the choices aren't accurate yet. Is that they're not having all been hooked up?
Like what? Some of them are not. I was like, even
Like-
yesterday, I've been interacting with FKQ to get things
Like
going.
on tickets, fares, and under other links, trolley services, it will highlight, but not other links on the right there, trolley services. That doesn't open on my mobile device.
I also noticed on the public records request database that it only, I don't know, listen, maybe this was something I did, but it only went to December 31st.
Oh,
Well, my guess is they probably had it, when they first started doing this, had a list, and that's what they put in there. Once you go live, it's going to be updated.
Yeah,
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, they only have certain information, so like, they're constantly pulling stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so like the meetings and like you had notified me about the meeting minutes, like they're still pulling information constantly.
yeah.
Yeah.
It did come up eventually.
Some of the other pages like procurement, like that information will not go live until the day before because there's time sensitive information on that page. So they will not pull that information until midnight the day before.
Yes, Commissioner.
So, Alyssa, what mechanism or vehicle are you using to notify our passengers of this opportunity?
It's only going to go out via social media and probably the email blast. So launching a website is really just a digital experience.
I'm talking about buying the ease with which you can buy tickets and.
You can already buy tickets online.
Right.
But
This is easier.
we should promote to try to get more. I mean, this will be even easier for people. We should get a little credit for it.
So basically, when they log, or when they go to the PSTA website, this will just come up instead of the old one.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Doing, it is so much easier to
And-
find things.
And then it will just link you over to Ride PSTA, which is the old system, rather than the new system. New website for bus, when's the next bus coming?
Well, that's a different page.
Okay.
The-
We still have a completely separate website called ridepsta.net,
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
which is our real-time information.
right. And it
One of the
links
ways.
over to it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, correct.
Well, this looks great.
Agree?
This looks great. I
It's
mean,
it's just such a transition from the way it is to the where it is. Huh?
What-
I mean, it's really geared for our writers. I mean, it's the three things that people want to know right off the bat. They don't have to hunt for it. And as far as what your board members are looking for, we just go to the bottom and, you know, we can find, or we can use Granicus too, but, you know, we can easily find reports, agendas, and information at the bottom. I mean, our writers are probably not going to be looking for that like we are. This just really just works so much better. It's really great work. Yes.
My concern is not that we're going to have a tremendous amount of hits on this thing initially, but what do we have as a backup if something happens that we don't anticipate? It seems like whenever a new website comes out, there's always some kind of a glitch that comes up. And so do we have a backup in place where it'll go to the old one or something else that'll happen so we're not down?
So right now, well, starting this afternoon, we're going to be in a switchover process with our server and FAQ. So we're going to have about a week time frame to work with. So we don't anticipate a problem. And with the switchover process, if something does go wrong, there will be a week for us to work with. And with anything being inaccurate, we anticipate that to be information-wise, not actual technology-wise.
Okay.
So,
Is there some reason, I mean, I know this may not be the highest priority of functionality on the website, but for instance, there aren't any social media plugins where you could share this on Facebook or Twitter?
Yeah, there are.
Oh, there are?
It's on the homepage. I just saw it go all the way down.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all there.
Just scroll all the way down.
it's actually on every page. If you
Oh, okay.
Mm.
But is that for the website in general or for that particular?
it
Topic.
asks you to like connect with any of our social media accounts.
Yeah, I was thinking like more specifically, like if I wanted to share
Flamingo.
the BRT or the downtown circulator study, how I could just easily like click on and share that via social media. Not right now.
No, we don't have that right now. really good at that, maybe in phase 2. We're working on a phase 2, hopefully in the next fiscal year.
That's interesting.
Okay, well, listen, if there aren't any further questions, thank you. This is way overdue, and this looks like a really great product, and we know there's always a few little hiccups when there's a rollout of a new website, but it looks like you guys are testing out all the links before it goes live, and I certainly encourage our board members to be here on May 10th at 4 o'clock. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next update is a 4B Regional Transit Feasibility Plan. Brad.
Okay, I put this on the agenda. This is for our discussion about how PSTA, the PSTA board, might engage itself a little more with the Regional Transit Feasibility Plan that Scott Pringle presented at last week's board meeting. You know, I think as you saw, the work that Jacobs has done so far has been very technical and has given his presentation to the PSA board and to the Tampa Bay TMA committee. From my perspective, again, it's a good study of studies so far. It's sort of repeating or validating the work that has been done in the past, but that's pretty much where it is right now. And I'm not sure if PSTA wants to take any kind of dramatic effort to lead this study or anything like that. I think we want to somehow be supportive of the work, but maybe encourage, I don't know, somehow encourage more participation or attention to the work from our community here in Pinellas. And I think probably if we do nothing, we'll likely see minimal to no input from, or ability to input on the study from Pinellas County. Pinellas County interests, PSDA, the MPO will have some input, I guess. Just any thoughts that you had on ways we might better engage our community with the work that Jacobs is doing?
Well, I think it's essential that Pinellas County weigh in because it shouldn't be, if it's going to be a seamless system, which is what we know we need,
Yeah.
it'd be nice to have our thought process and weigh in officially and not just as some of us have been doing the last couple of years. Because at some point, in the future, I would like to think we will have a robust transportation system. And I mean, with what's going on in Tallahassee right now, it's going to be really tough for local governments to move forward on any infrastructure.
Yeah.
And, local government's the only level of government that's functioning the way it's supposed to function anymore. So it's a new world that we're embarking on.
I think Bill was first, but I just would say that we need to do this in a way where we actually can physically make a presentation to the group. We need to be able to point out what's critical for our purposes at PSTA and for Pinellas County as a part of this overall process, so that we're not left out and things move forward without our input, and it's not necessarily in our best interest or not necessarily as beneficial as it could be if we participated. So I would suggest that we need to find out, what's the next step on this thing, and how can we formulate our own presentation to get our input more closely associated with this. This is sort of a top-down approach as opposed to our having direct input. And we need to make sure that our best interests are well known.
Madam Chair.
Oh, actually, Commissioner Johnson and then
And when Scott made the presentation, he described the process being identification of connections that would be most likely to get federal funding. And I think that this process has followed that path. The concern that I have is that in addition to the federal funding, assuming it's still available, there will have to be local funding. And how is this process setting the table for that local funding conversation? And I recall, again, that wonderful economic development county workshop, Kelly Morphy talked about community engagement and the importance in community engagement of, if you engage the public, it improves public health and builds social capital. Have to be responsible, have to go to where people are to get have to broaden the list of stakeholders, really have to have two-way communications. And in that local funding community option, it's really missing from what the process so far has been. And I'm concerned that because some of the same process was used in the original piece of green light, and then later it was going out to the community and trying to bring the community up to speed. So I'm really struggling with this project without that community involvement in the for our community.
thank you, Commissioner Wong.
Well, Bill just sent me into a whole other place with his comments, but I think, unless I'm terribly mistaken, this feasibility study, I'm not sure the community has the wherewithal to do the work that this team is doing, because it's the first time ever that there's been an opportunity to do this kind of thing from a regional level, and that isn't just focused on one particular area. So, you know, it really requires the folks that have been knee-deep in the process, who are the engineers, who are the funders like FDOT, and who know how that funding mechanism works, to figure out how do you take advantage of the world we live in today with all the advances of technology which are changing everything, but yet our way in which we appropriate infrastructure projects is not keeping up with how quickly everything else is moving. And so if you're paying attention, you know that Senator Latvala was able, and this transit feasibility study and all of the work that's been behind it is part of the impetus for this new change in a governance model that Senator Latvala filed in the Senate. For a while it was in the ditch. He managed to pull it out of the ditch.
Yeah.
It got passed out of the Senate. Now it's over in the House. They'll be taking it up to move it back again, hopefully without any amendments that slow it down, because then that will just kill it for this year. So my point being, in response to what Joe said, that new governance model will be that vehicle for the voices of everybody to come through and have a local impact.
Including our voice, because
Yes.
the PSTA will be at the table.
The STA will be at the table, both counties will be at the table. I mean, it's a very well thought through governance model to pull from the feds and from the state, and whatever is left over from the local level after they get through with their monkey business up there now.
The concern I have is if we're going to depend on, if we're going to need funding from the locals, because that, I mean, the bill that's up there now doesn't really have much funding. If we need to build the local support for funding something, how do we get them involved in that conversation so that they're going to be, oh yeah, I'm supportive of this.
Well, the answer to that question is so far away at this point, Bill, because before you can try to educate the community about what the need is, you have to know what that need is and have a plan. I mean, I think part of the green light thing, not that I ever want to go back and rehash that, we started with the community advocacy of that after the plan was already built and as we were moving forward, but I don't think any of us around this table, well, maybe you were, Brad were at the table in the beginning of Green Light, were we? Were you there then, Joe?
No, we
Were
came
you
in at the
there?
same time.
Well,
Yeah.
I was here as an observer, but not as a participant.
Well,
And
that
I saw-
makes a difference, too.
And I saw the rest of the board was not here as a participant. I mean, we had some reps that we had appointed, but that was going on. And so that's the concern that I have.
Here are my thoughts on it. So we do want to stay engaged. This is a regional plan, a regional effort, so we just need to kind of refine what our message is on how we engage in this regionally and how PSTA contributes regionally. And I mean, number one, I mean, we've got a great project to kind of brag about, the BRT project. And then secondarily, I mean, the BRT project from, downtown St. Pete to the beaches is one of the few federally funded projects that's come out of this area in a long time. And we're always, and regardless of what happens in the big picture with the Tampa Bay Partnership and their plans, I mean, that's always going to be a good project. And of course, the express bus service from Tampa International to Clearwater, it is important too.
Where is that?
I'm not sure exactly where we are in that.
Do you, Brad?
I have gotten an update. It's not looking so hot right now in the legislature.
Okay. Well,
More to come on that though.
we'll stick to our guns. I mean, on the BRT project is maybe a more real project that's really happening.
Yeah.
And then tactically, we do, maybe this is something where we go back to our legislative committee. There's lots of opportunities to speak, in one-on-one meetings with the delegation, to speak at the delegation meetings, and also to keep engaged with the Tampa Bay Partnership, because one of the issues is that the Tampa Bay Partnership obviously pushed most of this. I mean, when Vala introduced it, he wasn't even able to answer questions on it immediately, because it was really the Tampa Bay Partnership that was driving this. So we've got to stay engaged with them and not have them exclude us. I don't think they try to. And
Yeah.
clearly with their revised plan, it included putting PSTA and HART at the same table, which makes sense. And then, just the regular grab bag of tactics, op-eds, public speaking engagements, and we just make it really clear the message is how PSTA is engaging in a regional effort, and we're regional partners, and we have important things to contribute to the conversation. And we want our BRT project to be the first of many successful BRT projects, and we
Yeah.
will champion BRT projects anywhere. We will champion what they do in Hillsborough. We will be part of we'll be supportive. We don't have to look at this as being, myopically just looking at our own projects, but really supporting, the projects that HART wants to work on. All right, those are my thoughts.
I think it's a pretty good list of talking points
Mhm.
right there.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you for that. As sort of Scott presented, I think that he'll give updates to the TMA, but there was some discussion by the HART board about having a PSTA subcommittee get engaged. I'm not recommending that at this point. I think, we want to be supportive of the projects, focus on highlighting our BRT project as a success, but PSTA, at least at this point, I don't think is in a position to take the lead on any kind of on the study or any component to it.
So who from PSTA is on the TMA board? You are, right? No, you're not.
Gardeners.
Oh, I would like to be. We were discussing what happened.
There is no board.
No, I understand, but
Anybody can be on it.
Okay.
There are 3 designated representatives from Ford Pinellas MPO,
Mhm.
and that does include Commissioner Eggers and Commissioner Tornga and Caudell. I think are the 3 from Pinellas.
Did they, and if I may, the board has included HART and PSTA in a table tent.
In a
So,
what?
in a table tent,
They have an
tent.
intake.
In addition to the 3 Ford Pinellas members.
And the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council is represented as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Through the executive director is at the table and has a table, as well as Swift and Bethel. And that kind of happened. I don't know that it happened organizationally, but it's happened. And I've been going and sitting at the table as PSDA's rep because I was when I was chairman. But
Okay.
then
But if you go and you're there for more than a couple meetings, it's just, and we were all gonna go to that May 12th meeting, right?
Yeah.
that's not the TMA.
Well, primarily it's the TMA that is putting it together
Yeah,
along
okay.
with T-BARTA. And I've done, because that's where the money's coming from, through the collaborative lab.
Okay.
So I would strongly advise that
Mhm.
Madam Chair.
Tell me about the May 12th meeting.
The May 12th is a collaborative labs, I believe at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Regional Transportation Planning and Coordination, Best Studies Workshop.
It's a workshop over there for Alderton, put on by T-BARTA, or hosted by T-BARTA, and maybe the TMA too, I'm not sure. And what I've been characterizing it as is a kickoff to a study of a governance model for a regional MPO. Not just a Pinellas MPO, but a Pinellas, Hillsborough, maybe Pasco combined MPO.
Mhm.
Whether that becomes part of this new entity that perhaps the legislature is going to
Well,
rise, or
Madam Chair, may I speak?
I don't
You have
know.
to be careful how we talk about that, Brad, because the MPOs were created by the feds, not the state legislature.
Right.
So when you talk about these regional things, you can't mix it with the bill that's going through now with T-BARTA, because that's an implementing bill, and the MPOs are the designers and the, what's the word? Who's on the MPO?
Planners. Or
Thank
they
you,
develop the
designers.
plan, yeah.
They do the design and the planning. Yeah.
Okay.
And they're trying to do that to comply with the federal promulgated rules that came out last February. That's why that initiative is so critical.
Yeah.
If we attend this meeting on the 12th, we're just going to be essentially observers, right? We're not going to have any direct input.
I mean,
Because
it's
we're
a
not,
public
we're not,
meeting,
are we,
it's a
do we have a
workshop.
seat at the table in some way?
I'm not responsible for setting it up, but I know that I've been asked to go.
Mhm.
I believe there's a general invitation to all these groups to come and participate. I don't know that there's going to be any voting. There's no voting process.
Well, you can't vote in a workshop.
Yeah.
Is it
You're a
a
PSTA officer.
collaborative lab
Say again?
sort of
You're a
process?
PSTA
Yeah,
officer.
That's
right,
what I'm
yeah,
understanding.
that's what I'm saying.
I believe it starts at 10 rather than 9.
No, it's 9. At 10, it is
I have
10.
both, I have both in my
It's a 10.
calendar. I
10
have mine
to
in.
2.
Well, if you go at 9, you'll definitely be there.
We'll get a good
True.
That's what my schedule
I
is.
I have 10.
They know me so well. Okay.
They put 9:30, so you get one.
Right.
My staff does that to me too.
Drives me crazy.
Okay,
I always have to look it up on their website, whoever they are.
so any other questions or comments before we move on? I mean, clearly, we do want to be engaged with this. I think this committee, the executive committee, would be the committee where we talk about the strategy and the messaging of how we want to do that. And then it seems like maybe it's the legislative committee that would kind of carry out the tactics of, how we deliver that message in intergovernmental settings. And but we're not interested at this time in trying to come out in front of this or be leading the discussion on this. We're just going to stand by and be cooperative and be a part of the discussion.
I don't know how much we can stand by. Look at this quote right here.
Where are you?
On the,
Page
page 7.
of the PowerPoint?
We will travel 51% more miles, while our plans call for only 19% more miles of new lanes. That means an increase in congestion of nearly 220% over what we have today. I mean, is that not staggering? We're never going to leave our homes, our front side. We won't be able to get on. So,
What's most telling about that statistic is that's from the adopted MPO plans for Pilbara Oak and Allison Pasco. That is what we're planning. That is what's going to happen.
I know. And that's the quagmire, it paralyzes us because of the way in which funding operates for these big projects. And technology is changing the way we do everything, but it's not changing that. So it's very interesting.
Just to clarify, I wasn't suggesting that we be silent or sit on our hands. I just meant in terms of how the Tampa Bay Partnership is kind of putting together and leading on this regional discussion, that we shouldn't try to step out in front of them on a regional discussion.
But we do want the Tampa Bay partnership, not just Tampa partnership.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly.
It is the Tampa Bay Partnership.
I know, but there's a big focus on Tampa partnership.
Mhm. I understand too.
Well, we've got to figure out how to get to the beaches.
Yeah.
I guess the point I was trying to make is we should be thinking about the next steps after this comes down with the 1 or 2 recommended as to, okay, now what do we do with that? I think, Commissioner, your point in reading this is very crucial. We have a problem, we have a challenge. We're part of the solution. And I wouldn't want to sit back.
Well, I think we need to make sure before that even that we are one of those 3 chosen, that at least some part of Pinellas County is in those chosen plans. Because if you look at this little dot matrix here,
Yeah.
there's a chance that they could not.
Yeah.
And we don't want to read about it in the newspaper.
No.
But it needs to be regional, I think.
Absolutely.
And
St. Pete to Wesley Chapel is about as regional as it
That's
gets.
Yeah,
the only question I have there is,
yeah.
why should it go to Wesley Chapel versus just going to St. Pete to Tampa?
That's a,
Would
Have you
be-
done the
would be
Wesley
the
Chapel lately?
Well, but that's just going to force more development up into Wesley Chapel.
right.
Is that the land use plan that makes sense for Tampa Bay? Or do we, it's the flight from the downtown cities to the greenfields located far out that's created a lot of our transportation and congestion. And do we want it to be, do we want to focus more on the downtown areas that are the walkable, millennial, baby boomer, retiree type? So there's that kind of.
I think we want to focus on the urban area where there is no opportunity to sprawl, meaning Canals County.
Well,
We're not going to be able to do much sprawling.
but there's plenty of
Well,
sprawling
higher
in South
density.
Well-
Hillsborough.
Hillsborough.
But we know it's gonna,
The-
right.
And the thing started with this, really this CSX coming in and saying, we'll sell you the railroads if you buy all of them. And
Right.
that meant it would be, what would be great for Brooksville and Tampa really may not have much help in Pinellas or South
I
Hillsborough.
don't know if it's done. That's-
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
need to excuse myself for a city council workshop.
Okay.
that starts at 8.
Okay, thank you
It's not
for
outside
your comments.
Hopefully not
And-
today.
And the larger picture of land use issues in Wesley Chapel, and it sounds like a great subject for discussion on May 12th. So cool. So if we don't have any more, we could talk a lot more about this, but in the interest of time, let's get through our agenda here. And the next topic is 4C, which is the Performance Management Program and the scorecard project update.
Yeah, so I wanted to just keep the executive committee apprised of our progress along the business scorecard front, which is making good progress. Just a reminder, we hired a company called TransPro, which is headed by Mark Ash, to help develop a business scorecard for PSTA, a whole new approach to management and the performance evaluation process. That's why we did the mission and vision statement update. In your packet is a project update, a memo, just giving you a status report. We are scheduled to have a staff workshop on June 9th to launch the scorecard initiative. So each department has developed a first draft of a business scorecard that ties to a corporate PSTA level scorecard in draft, and we're still making modifications to that, identifying ways in which we might monitor our performance. And then so June 9th, we're going to start this process where getting employees to start tracking their progress on a monthly basis. What Mark has told me is that it'll take a little while for it to get embedded and to work out all the kinks, but I'll keep you apprised. The other thing that's in your packet that I wanted to just show you, this is also a work in progress, is TransPro's suggested new performance evaluation method for my evaluation, and then whatever becomes my evaluation will be modeled for the rest of the employees as well. Maybe not exactly, but similarly. And I just want to quickly show you what this is. The idea would be that there would be two parts to the evaluation, rather than the current evaluation process for me, as you know, is that each board member fills out a kind of like a survey of 10 areas that are tied to our Path Forward strategic plan, but it's subjective evaluations by the board members of whether they rate me on those strategic plan elements on a scale of 1 through 5, and then the personnel committee comes up with a suggested adjustment to my compensation that theoretically, but not exactly, is related to what the board members evaluate me on. This new process has that, but it also has a quantitative evaluation process. So up at the top, you'll see the scorecard of performance in alignment with organizational strategy and scorecard. So you can see the FY 2018 success goals, and then they will have specific goals, quantitative goals that PSTA will either hit, we'll either make, or we won't make. And then some point value to how much of the overall score that amounts to. So you can see that the first goal for the organization is going to be Net Promoter Score. That's a measurement of the customer satisfaction of our riders. So whether they would be willing to recommend PSTA to a family member or friend. There's a survey that we'll be doing every year. And PSTA has a very high customer satisfaction rate right now, a very high rate of 30-some%, which is about 3 times the national average for a transit system. As long as we keep it there or improve it and meet the goal, you'll see that when it comes time to do an evaluation. And then if PSA hits that, that would be worth 30 points and on down.
So we do this each quarter? Is that what you're saying? Looks like this.
Or is it same?
We will provide the board, I will provide the board with a status report on each of those goals every quarter, how we're tracking.
And who fills in the scorecard up here?
PSTA does, the staff, I do.
Okay.
The board doesn't have to fill in anything there. It's just going to be a reflection of whether we met the mark or did not.
So those are concrete.
Those are concrete points. Then you get down to the second section, which is called embodies organizational values. And here is more consistent with what we're already doing. This would be a...
Can I ask a question in the
Yes.
first section? These other ones, scorecard results, is that based on these?
Yes, it's kind of a repeat.
Okay. It's not in the same order, that's why I was having a problem. Okay, never mind.
Oh, you're right.
I was
Yeah.
thinking those were the categories in your current evaluation.
I think
I was
that
gonna
needs to
ask
be
basically the same
revised.
question, if we overlaid our last year's evaluation on this revised thing, what would it look like?
And we can show you that. We can show you that. Again, the current evaluation is completely in this second section. The board will be asked to develop asked to complete a survey, and it'll probably be shorter. It'll probably be shorter than the current version, but with questions related to whether my performance represents the values of the organization. And it will be a survey of board members, so it'll of course be subjective. Now Mark has put it in something that I think is kind of interesting. I want to get your feedback on. Mark suggested that in addition to the board completing a survey, 2 other groups would complete a survey. A sort of a 360 evaluation of my employees. The employees of PSTA would weigh in, and then community leaders, non-board members, a set of business leaders and civic leaders out in the Pinellas County community. They would complete some kind of short survey instrument, and that we would bring all those 3 together, and that would those value surveys would apprise 50% of the overall score. So and this is Transpro's first cut at this.
But that would not be quarterly, that would be.
It would not be quarterly, yeah. But essentially, the idea is that 50% of the overall score would be based on meeting the metrics of meeting the goals of the organization, and 50% would be based on this values survey of board members and others in the more subjective sense.
If I were in your shoes, I'd be a little worried about having an outside group that's not really paying attention to what PSTA does or is doing or planning to do, and you know, you could have some pretty wildly erratic results from that kind of a survey that could in one day be good for you and another day be adverse to your results because they don't have enough input, especially if you're talking about people that are not in any way involved in the transportation issues of the community.
Well, they would be.
Yeah.
I'm envisioning in what, at least from talking to Mark, we're talking about Chamber of Commerce executives, the Ford Pinellas executive director,
Okay.
you know, people that are engaged. Yeah, not just random citizens off the street that would say, here, fill out this 45-question survey on me.
Right. But still, having said that, I mean, the diversity is still important because typically the outliers kind of cancel each other out. So you're going to have your worst critics and your biggest fans, and the really, probably the feedback from the most engaged the most insightful feedback will be somewhere in the middle.
Which you already have on your board.
Right.
We have a
Thank you for bringing
diverse
that up.
board.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Actually, I hate to see, pardon me, that the board's assessment gets pretty washed out then if you start talking about community leaders, and I'd like to hear what the staff has to say.
Yeah,
That's down to like 25% of your score, and it was pretty good last time, so.
yeah.
I don't know how
Well,
much-
and I want to be, you know, I want to recognize that too, obviously. So we haven't worked out like what the weighting of these. I would imagine that the board's evaluation would be weighted most heavily, certainly, and that whether we can effectively get a group of outside business leaders and others, we haven't worked that all out. It has to be something that they, like I said, even with Blanton or I don't know, Chris Bannock or somebody, they don't have any real day-to-day knowledge of what goes on in PSTA.
Right.
I mean, we do that kind of thing when we get, in a nonprofit, when we get accredited by outside, but that only happens every 3 or 4 years, where we're asking the community
Yeah, and your
to weigh in.
compensation's not based on
Yeah, no.
that. So that's the thing, I mean,
It's beneficial.
So I think in making this decision about, I mean, think about if we had this scorecard in place the year after, for you to be evaluated, the year after green light. That probably wouldn't have looked real good. You had a tough enough time with your board.
Well, actually, I think
The objective
the direct
scores.
reports, the employees, and maybe even the community leaders, I think it maybe might have been, I don't know, maybe a little more balanced. I'm not sure.
Well,
Maybe with the employees, but
Oh, but
community leaders
the
were-
first part that's built on objective measures, I mean, that's the whole point, is to get those objective.
So are they gonna
measures.
fill that out as well, the whole thing, or just this
No,
part?
no, just, that comes from actual
That's data.
performance,
That's
that's
data.
all data.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
subjective
right. That's right.
measurements related to how we run getting buses on time.
Right,
It has
right.
nothing
Sure.
to do with the referendum
Mhm.
Right.
3 years ago.
Right.
Okay.
Or how somebody
I mean, this-
feels about you.
But I
Yeah.
do like the
Yeah.
current, I do want to it's hard for me to see how it gets kind of inserted here in the embodiment of organizational values. I do like what we've created so far as an evaluation of the CEO, because it's linked so well back to the path forward and our
Yeah.
strategic objectives. I just want to make sure that that's not lost. Although I see that the objective measures in the first part are sort of like, it's a good balance between objective and subjective. And, you know, we can give very good subjective feedback about how our work is aligned with the strategic plan, but then the performance numbers are the numbers. I mean, that's the lag indicator. That's, boom, that's how we're doing.
And I would agree, I think,
Yeah.
but also, I think we've made some big improvements in the way that the board operates and operates with you as a result of looking at some things a couple of years ago and saying, we
Yeah.
want more communication, you know,
Okay.
and I think that's made a huge difference.
I do
So-
too, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just would hate to water that part down.
When is the next step when we need a decision on this?
Well, I was talking to Mark about having him come for us our next executive committee to talk about this more
Okay.
in depth. He gave this to me recently and asked what I thought about it, and so today is just sort of an FYI. This is what's we're talking about.
We're
So
the
that-
guinea pigs.
What? Yeah, you're the guinea
This is
pigs.
our first peek.
And I hear what you're saying, and you bring up a lot of good points about. I also said to him, I feel like the community leader, especially piece, is a little bit, might be more difficult to really implement on a real life basis.
I really like the
Yeah.
objective part. You know,
That's really the main point,
measures
is
that
that,
go into it.
unlike the current evaluation process, and this is the same for all of our employees. You know, right now, all of our employees get a subjective evaluation based on their manager's assessment of their results. That we would go to more of a 50-50, but you still get that values assessment. You know, if the person is just not a good, not a good teammate, a negative person or whatever, you know, that should be evaluated, but that's only a component. If they achieve the results that you set upon at the beginning of the year, that's a component of the evaluation too. And that's where we're kind of moving toward with this whole scorecard process.
So we'll hear more about that when Mark Ashe comes to our next executive committee meeting.
Yeah.
So our next item is the May board meeting agenda.
I'm very hopeful that this meeting will also be a relatively short meeting, but not short necessarily in terms of board members leaving PSTA, because we will have our PSTA 101 session immediately following the end of this agenda. The main action items on the board agenda will be this vision and mission statement that we just recommended today, and then the FY18 program of projects. That's our federal capital program. We're having a public hearing on the capital program between the finance and planning committees the week prior. We've been sort of strategizing about this because I know that the PSA board, especially our finance committee, loves to discuss the type of buses we might buy. And so what I think we're going to be able to do is we are going to put into the capital program that we are going to buy a number of replacement buses and not necessarily be prescriptive on the type at this point.
Are we anywhere in our planning thinking about doing one of the driverless buses things?
We are. I've spoken to Senator Ladala, not Senator Ladala, Senator Brandis, about that, and he's obviously very interested in doing a pilot program. He's talked to Secretary Steinman about doing it in his Pinellas County district.
Aren't they doing it in Tampa with Hart?
Yes, the Florida DOT has provided, thanks to Senator Brandis again, some pilot funding for the Marion Street corridor in downtown Tampa.
So if we did do that, what are you looking at for a pilot? What, little route would we look at?
What I suggested to him was a downtown St. Pete portion of the circulator component that we're doing there. It would be an advancement because the Marion Street is a single straight road in downtown Tampa that is closed to cars. It is only open for buses. So it's a very controlled environment. Downtown St. Pete would be certainly a
Totally out of control.
a mixed traffic environment. So of course, anything new and innovative interests Senator Brandis.
Right.
So he seems excited about it.
Thank you.
But we'll see on that.
So that's not likely to be soon this year.
Nice to hear it.
No, he said next legislative session.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but, did I hear you say Hart was getting their funding from FDOT?
Yes, they already got it. Or I don't know if they have it in hand. It's been programmed for them.
So maybe we go that avenue instead of through the legislature.
I think that's how we would approach it. But it would be Senator Brandis with his committee's chairmanship that would be able to make that happen. The 101, during the 101 session after the board meeting, will include a mobile learning, I guess that's a word. We're going to have some discussion right there in the boardroom, but then we will move our discussion over to the maintenance area, talk about buses. And then we will finish up in transportation in one of our operator classrooms where we train all the employees on how to drive a bus. That won't be part of the 101. Might be fun, but that's where Cassandra and Heather will talk about some of the plans that PSTA is following, and James is going to talk a little bit about how we interact with our employees in the union environment. As part of the bus discussion, Debbie will also be there giving a presentation on our finances, which board members, I know a number of board members have varying degrees of knowledge or understanding of. So we're just trying to, the goal of the whole 101 session is to increase the overall knowledge of new board members and existing board members, make people feel more comfortable about the decisions that we make on a month-to-month basis, how they tie into the bigger picture.
So how long do you think the 101 part of the meeting will be?
Maximum time, it'll be a hard stop at noon with a Panera box lunch as a reward, sticking it so that you can have it there or take it with you.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anything on future meeting subjects?
The June meeting immediately starting up in June, we'll be getting into our fiscal year 18 budget. And again, last year we took our CIP to the May PSTA board meeting, like we have to in order to meet the July 1st deadline that the Federal Transit Administration has for getting our grants in. The problem with that is then that has led our board, at least the last 2 years in a row, to having 4 straight months of meetings dominated by a discussion about electric buses or diesel buses. Because we don't approve our capital, the bus purchase, until the budget is approved in September. So what I'm trying to work out a plan is that we would actually not have the bus discussion in detail until August. We would have a robust discussion at the August meeting and and then have our budget hearings in September. That would include the capital component of the buses. We're putting together a plan that assumes that we will be buying hybrid electric buses while we wait for our 2 electric buses to arrive as our pilot. But you'll see all that. But we'll focus on June and July on the operating budget and impacts to our revenue stream and on the operating budget. It's just try to make the board meetings run more smoothly and not get hung up on one topic. Because we're just trying to be more strategic with the agendas in that way.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm a little concerned about limiting the amount of discussion on one of the most important things that we do. And, I mean, I'm just thinking about how we operate our budget cycle in the county. And we have months of meetings that are all about budget and all about different departments even, it's broken down into.
Well, and it will be that way. I mean, we're going to have presentations on the budget starting in this month with this 101. We're going to talk about each major program in the budget and the capital program outside of the buses. You know, what capital projects we have included in the budget. In June, we're going to Debbie, we're going to present the entire budget to you in its draft format. So that the June board meeting will be all about the budget. So it will be a discussion. It's just this discussion about the different technologies and the exact makeup of the different buses. We'll have that too. Just trying to maybe, it's really to have a more fruitful discussion in maybe a more condensed set of months.
So could I offer one more suggestion, Madam Chair? So maybe it's an opportunity, Brad, for you to do, when you're doing your one-on-one meetings, to take a department head of whichever piece you're talking about and bring them with you so that you can do a more in-depth educational component with whatever board member you're talking to. Some board members will need all of that and more, but other board members have been on the board long enough so maybe they don't need it so in-depth because they are able to grasp the higher level of conversation. Because it's really tough if you're at a board meeting with 15 people and one member is really not knowledgeable about any of it, and instead of talking in the 101 decides to get into a long drawn-out conversation in a board meeting. I don't know how you stop that, Madam Chair.
I'm not sure either.
But that's a great point, and something I have been doing lately with the 101s is bringing along key people that might be on the main agenda. Like Cindy joined me with a couple of board members strategically to bring them along before she presented the marketing plan this last month. Debbie will certainly be coming with me about the budget. Yeah, I mean, that's been a very good thing lately.
So Brad, just to recap, so in June, we're going to, what will be on the table is we're going to spend X amount of our capital budget on bus replacement. And then in August, we'll talk about, okay, out of that amount, these are the types of buses that the board needs to approve that we're going to buy.
Yeah.
Is that the idea? Okay.
Yeah. The goal is through this PSTA 101 and then in June, in the May and June board meetings, to show a projection of PSTA's financial health, including the capital component, in a little bit different way than we have in the past.
Mhm.
Instead of talking about that we're headed towards some kind of fiscal cliff, which some of our board members seem to be focused on, is to get away from that, because we're not headed toward any kind of fiscal cliff. Our finances are very healthy. But put it in context of the way of the transportation world that we live in 2017. There is no transit system outside of maybe some in California that is able to replace all of their buses on a beautiful 12-year cycle. And to hold PSTA services to that level, meaning we have to reduce services, is just not realistic. I mean, our friends, we're going to show some comparative statistics across about HART, but it's all across Florida, it's all across the United States, that we will, the federal funds and the state funds that were there in the past are not there, but we can run buses longer, and everybody is doing that. So we just want to kind of reset that discussion, that we're not headed for any kind of cliff. We're doing just fine. And have the bus discussion in that framework after we sort of set that stage, I think. That's what we're going to try to do in May and June. Good. Yeah.
Well, this meeting's going on pretty long, so if there's not, we had a lot of good discussions, so thank you, everybody. And if there's no other questions or comments, we will adjourn our meeting. Okay, thank you.